This is A Nearly Impossible Math Equation, Episode 8. That's a anime podcast for short. We're here to talk about 5 anime, having dropped one of them last time. It was Girls' Last Tour, and we came to that result, that conclusion based on a coin flip.
And I guess it was their last tour on this show.
Okay. Well done.
Thank you.
I don't have any special topics to go over before we just jump into the shows. How about you?
No, not really. I mean, there's a new Star Wars out, but that has nothing to do with
And we saw
anime.
it.
Yeah, we did.
Maybe that could be like a bonus episode.
Sure. We just do a Star Wars review.
Yeah, I actually don't want to do that because I'm not a big Star Wars guy, so I couldn't talk too, intelligently about it.
Yeah, I guess.
I also thought the movie was kind of silly.
I think your word was silly. My word was confusing, I think it was.
No, it was different than that. It was better than that. But
Yeah.
we did each, after we saw it, we came up with one word each to describe it. Mine was silly. Yours was, I don't remember.
It was
what
clever.
Yeah, it was better than confusing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how about we do Hellsing first?
Okay. Yeah, since we ended with it last time.
Right. And last time it was there was a pretty big divide in opinion between the two of us on the episode.
Right.
I had my objections to it. This week, not as much. It was mostly gore,
Right.
as opposed to gore and necrophilia and childhood trauma.
Right.
So this time it was mostly hordes of undead taking over London and lots of guns being fired and blood being sprayed everywhere.
Yep.
And who doesn't love that?
Lots of people, I'm sure.
Yeah, I actually don't really love it.
I do.
Okay, well, you like the show more than I do. You love this kind of show more than I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was your biggest, what did you appreciate the most from this episode?
The scale, just how it's very large scenes, from what I've gathered, are complex to do in anime and in animation, and especially when you're dealing with crowds.
Right.
And a lot of the really large, wide shots with huge crowds of people on both sides, I thought, I mean, they're CG, but I thought they looked pretty good. I thought they were fluid. They didn't look like some CG where they're trying to make it look as stuttered as animation can at
It
sometimes.
looks like 15 frames per second or something.
Yeah, which looks weird when you're seeing something CG. You're like, that's not right. But this was all very fluid and smooth, and I thought it looked good.
Yeah, it did look pretty good, I guess.
Especially considering that's about 10 years old.
Is it?
Maybe closer to like 8, but
Yeah,
it's 8 or 10 years old.
something
And
like that.
Animation's moved a lot in 8 to 10 years. I mean, look at CG in Hollywood movies from 10 years ago as opposed to now. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah. But we're not talking about Hollywood. We're talking about
the lowest budget humanly possible. Sundance films are better funded than this.
well, that's a huge industry. There's a big festival and everything.
I know, but they generally have small budgets compared to Hollywood movies. Anyways,
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yes, there were big action sequences taking up the whole city of London. I mean, what was going on was Alucard returns on his ghost ship, and so he's not a man. He's obviously a vampire, but he's not vampires can transform, into bats or fog or whatever. Alucard is not that kind of vampire. He's not limited by, one form turning into another. He's essentially composed of the blood and the souls and the essence of everyone whose blood he's ever drank.
right.
So he transforms into a giant tidal wave of blood and people who he's killed over his, I don't know how long he's been alive, hundreds of years probably.
We can infer if we look, because when he first turns and does that, he's a samurai, which that was way back in feudal Japan, in the 1100s.
I'm pretty sure that samurai existed more recently than that.
With that style of armor, though, we can assume that he's nearly 1,000 years old. Or I would. I don't. Someone can correct me.
Yeah,
Please do.
I don't think that's right, but
I'm sure someone
sure,
figured
he's
it
old.
out.
Yeah, but then you also see like knights on horses and
Right.
stuff. So
And-
yeah, medieval.
And people talk about the fact that it's like you ate your own people or you drank
Right.
their blood or something, and now they're a
Yeah,
part of him.
Yeah, like members of your fiefdom, I think one of the characters says. So
Yes.
he was some kind of feudal lord or whatever.
Yep.
And he killed all his dudes and the horses. Because
Yep.
if the horses are being resurrected, that means he drank the horse's blood as well.
Sure.
And he also gains the powers of anyone whose blood he drinks, because we see him use the cards
And
like
the bullet.
yeah, and the magical gun from
Yeah.
the magician and the what's her face.
What was her name? It wasn't Jack the Ripper, was it?
No.
No, it was
Rumpelstiltskin.
Right.
Yeah. So he not only can he like, I guess, dissolve himself and turn into he doesn't even do that. Because he maintains a physical form while all his troops or whatever are rampaging
He
through the city.
releases all of it, though. It's no longer contained in one form. It's spread out.
Right, which is what makes him vulnerable. And that's exactly what the Major and what Alexander we're hoping for.
Right. That's exactly what the Major's whole purpose of that thing was to do, was to bring him out so that he could be killed.
Right. He wants to kill Alucard. Although he does seem to enjoy warfare quite a bit as well. But maybe that's all a pretense. Maybe he has some history with Alucard, and all he really wants to do is kill him.
Maybe.
There's only 2 episodes left, so there's probably going to be some showdown between the two of them in some...
Assuming Alucard's not dead, that is.
Right, because at the end of the episode we see Alexander, who has pierced himself with the nail.
Right.
I think the idea was that was one of the nails that was used in Jesus' crucifixion.
Yes, I think so as well.
And did you catch that they refer to it as the Lance of Longinus?
Well, he lists several things. These
Right.
are all ancient Holy Roman artifacts, and the Lance of Longinus is mentioned. Yeah, if you look at my notes, Lance of Longinus is mentioned, holy artifact from Rome.
I thought the idea was that all those names that Alucard or Alexander,
Were they all names for one thing?
Yeah, I thought they were all names for the nail that he had.
I thought they might have been. I wasn't sure if that's what it was or if it was multiple different items.
No, I think it was all. You know how really legendary artifacts tend to have a bunch of names
that they've all gained over time.
right?
Yeah.
As different stories have been told about them.
Sure.
So I think it was all about that nail. So Alexander, he pierces himself with it, and he turns into a thorny, tentacly monster guy.
The Thorn Mage,
Right. The thorn demon, I guess.
I guess.
I think the most interesting part of this episode was when Alucard saw that what Alexander was planning to do to himself and expressed,
don't do this.
Yeah, don't become like me. Don't become just a demon or a monster. Don't give up your humanity. Because he was like, no, I'm pitiful, I'm empty. You don't want to be like me. So that's a very different Alucard from any of the Alucards we've seen so far. Most
Right.
of whom have just been crazy and bloodthirsty.
Rather than forewarning and it's a bad idea.
I think I just scrolled with my click wheel on here.
That's fine.
Okay, that doesn't
Don't
matter.
worry about that.
All right, I'm going to go over here with my mouse then, because I got some notes that I want to take a look at. If I could just get my mouse.
Do you want me to just? Here,
Yeah,
I'm
why don't
gonna
you do it?
I'm gonna use my other hand.
Okay, there we go.
And there it is.
There they are. So that was my favorite part of the episode, I think.
Yeah.
Was Alucard seeing a different side of Alucard. Also his weird form with the mustache.
Yeah.
And was that the samurai getup
Yes,
that you were talking
it
about?
was.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Japan is all about turning characters into samurais. Did you see the trailer for the new Samurai Batman CG show that's
Yes,
coming out?
I did.
You did? Did I link you to that, or did you just find it?
No, my friend sent it to me.
Okay. Yeah. Japan loves, telling stories where a character from the present day gets sent back in time to the Warring States era, or just make samurai in modern day or whatever. They love that stuff. So what else happened in this episode?
One part that I thought was cool was when the major is up on top of the blimp and he's conducting, and this big orchestral score just comes up, and it goes between a couple shots of the Nazis and the Crusaders fighting.
Right, Iscariot.
Yeah, I thought that was just a cool little scene.
Yeah, he's the Major's crazy.
You would generally have to be to raise an army of Nazi vampires.
And then stand on top of a blimp, or blimp.
While it's being shot at.
Yeah, conducting.
Yep.
As if you're actually doing anything. I mean, maybe in his mind he does.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm saying you got to be like a special kind of crazy.
For sure.
Walter, we saw Walter again. And I actually knew that he was dead, or I was almost certain, because in the preview at the end of the last episode, actually in this episode, do you remember when somebody, I can't remember who, is kind of like recapping how many people are left on each force?
Yeah, and then you see that there's only 3 left for Hellsing.
Yeah.
Which is Ceres, Hellsing herself,
Integra,
and
Alucard,
right.
Yeah. That line of dialogue, like 3 people left for Hellsing, 2,000 something left for Iscariot, 500 or whatever.
542.
Yeah.
And Iscariot was 2,862, I believe.
Sure. That whole line of dialogue was actually in the preview.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the end
I
of
never
the last
watched
episode.
the previews.
Okay. So I had a hunch that Walter was dead. And when he reappeared, he looked younger. Did you notice that?
Yeah, he did.
Why do you think that is?
Demon magic.
Yeah. Do you think he was turned into a vampire, or do you think that the control that this henchman guy has on him is different?
That's a good question. I don't think it would have been him turning into a vampire, because that takes like 3 days. After Alucard turns Ceres, she's asleep for 3 days, a week or something like that.
Haven't we seen any scenes in London of like people turning into vampires already?
No, ghouls, not vampires.
Ah, okay.
Ghouls
right,
are
there is a
instant 'cause
distinction.
they're just blah. And
Right, you turn
vampires
into a ghoul if you are not a virgin.
right.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that Walter has been turned into a vampire either. I mean, there's some evidence to suggest that he would be via like some accelerated process, because he does look younger. And don't vampires aren't they eternally youthful, or don't they appear eternally youthful?
I think they can choose. Possibly. A lot of beings that have the ability to age way past what humans can generally choose their appearance to an extent.
That makes sense.
Like Alucard can shift between modern Alucard and I'm a samurai Alucard almost at will, it seems.
The possession guy, the guy with the trench
glowing
coat
red eyes
or
and
whatever,
the big trench coat.
Yeah, I was disappointed.
We get to see a fight between them.
Yeah, and at some point in this episode, there's like a showdown is promised between Alucard, Alexander, and that guy. Like they're all standing in a triangle with the Nazi forces on one side,
and then it's implied that he just dies.
That who just dies? Trenchcoat Man?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. The giant wave comes out of Alucard and swallows everything around him. I think it's implied that he's dead.
I doubt it.
That he was eaten.
No, I think he probably got to safety. He's like, I mean, that scene where they're all standing in a triangle kind of implies that he's on the same power level as those two.
Well, no one is on Alucard's power level.
Well, Alexander is now.
Well, now, yeah, but before then he wasn't. So it stands to reason no one else is either.
Okay, but do you see what I'm saying? Like that scene being set up that way.
Yeah,
with him
it seemed like it was
going
to be like a 3-way fight.
Yeah. So what?
He just disappears.
What happened there?
I don't know.
That's lame. Maybe like his death. Maybe if he did die, his death will release Walter from his mind control or whatever, and then he'll have like one last hurrah
and kill the Major or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. What else?
There was a very brief fight between Alucard and Alexander when Alucard's in his samurai form, and their sword fighting. That was really cool.
I vaguely remember that. I mostly remember the end with the Lance of Longinus nail thing, whatever.
Right.
Oh, and Maxwell died, the Iscariot guy.
Yep.
That was big.
Quite spectacularly.
Yeah.
This can't. You can't pierce this glass. Alexander begs to differ.
I mean, did you watch the end credits, even if you didn't watch the preview?
Yeah, Alexander, you can see him like teaching. He's the same age, and you
Right.
can see him teaching the Archbishop as well as two of the younger Iscariot people.
Right. His like right hand men or man and woman or whatever.
Right.
The members of his little fighting force.
Who are all dead now because they all blew themselves up.
That's right. Well, maybe not the two
Yeah, maybe
like,
not
named characters. I doubt they're dead.
Yeah, you don't see them explicitly die. You just see a giant wave of explosions.
Right. Okay. 16 minutes is a good amount of time
I'd say
to
so.
talk about Hellsing.
Yeah.
Although we did waste some time talking about Star Wars at the start.
Yep.
So let's do a newer one. We only have the two newer shows.
That's right.
So which one should we do?
Let's do Magus.
Okay. Mahoutsukai no Yome.
Oh,
Listen to my Japanese, dude.
I love your Japanese, dude.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so the ancient head pat's bride. 3 head pats in this episode.
I think I made a note of that at some point. No, I didn't. I made a mention of head pat.
Head pats in Hellsing.
Yes, thank you.
Say that
That's
5 times
a
fast.
bit of a tongue twister there.
Yeah, even Ainsworth gets head patted by Lendel's master.
Yep.
So I was interested in Elias's backstory, Ainsworth's backstory. I don't think this was the best episode ever or anything, even though it was returned to Dragonville. But I like that we're getting some backstory on Ainsworth. I've decided to call him Ainsworth because I don't know if it's like Elias or Elias. So
Right.
I'm just going to go with the one that I know how to pronounce. Thoughts about this episode? What do you think?
I liked it. I like backstory on characters that are kind of mysterious, and you've been wondering, what is this? Where did it come from? For the whole show, essentially, for Ainsworth in particular this time.
Yeah.
And we learned essentially nothing.
We didn't learn nothing.
We learned that he doesn't know what he is or who he is.
Right, he's an amnesiac.
Right.
Or he was at that point.
Right. He may. I'm pretty sure he knows what he is now. And maybe the episode after this one will be more of an explanation because it just ends essentially where Chise is in the same situation. She's still just there. So I think we're just going to get 2 episodes back to back of dialogue.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. Like, one really annoying tendency that anime series have is breaking up action with flashbacks for like an episode at a time. Just
In the
a
middle.
gigantic flashback in the middle of a fight scene or some kind of conflict.
I remember that happened in Naruto.
Sure, of course.
The original fight between Zabuza and Kakashi. I
Yeah.
remember it probably 3 or 4 times during that like 6 episode fight scene.
Yeah.
There's a flashback to like Zabuza's past and the girl she has with him.
Well, shonen manga are usually just like badly adapted because it's chapters and chapters of backstory, but you don't have to like pad out those flashbacks in the anime. But they have to make an episode every single week, like with no breaks for long running shonen. So that's why it ends up happening that way.
How many animation studios usually run with those? Like several in order to keep up that load?
I don't know, man. Perot, and I mean that's one of the ones that does shonen series. Madhouse actually did Hunter x Hunter for 148 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah, and it looked really good.
I have no doubt that it did. I've seen a couple episodes, I remember. Like 3 or 4.
Toei, they're another huge anime studio. They do I think Dragon Ball and they do One Piece. So there are
That
like
explains a lot.
there are a handful of studios who handle most of the shonen stuff. But Bones is doing My Hero Academia now, and the wealth's getting spread around a bit. Anyways, that has nothing to do with the Ancient Mage's Bride.
No, it does not.
For this show, there wasn't a lot of action to disrupt for this flashback, so it kind of came on very naturally, and I was cool with it.
Chisei gets a wand.
Yeah, and we don't actually see what it looks like. We don't see the finished product. We don't even know if she's actually constructed it.
No, I have a feeling she hasn't because
Yeah.
she just went to bed the first day.
I would like to watch her actually make it, and see like what that process involves. If like any fairies will come and assist her, or I'm just interested in like the magic, the magical aspect of the show, and not so much the romance or the dogs or whatever.
Sure.
And I like Lyndall. I think he's cool, I guess.
He's a cool old guy.
Yeah, he is super old. And this flashback happened like hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Yep.
Because he says like before steam and before even crude oil was used to power things.
Yeah, before oil was used to power things, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Although the cabin that they go to in the middle of the ocean looks very modern.
It does, yes. Time travel.
Yeah, it's a bit of an anachronism, but that's fine because, it's magic. I ain't got to explain shit.
Nope. Plot armor of the thickest variety.
Yeah. Architecture, plot armor.
Yeah.
The buildings can look however we want because it's magic.
Because it looks cool.
What else is there to say about this episode, really?
I remember Chisei talks about, or Lyndall talks to Chisei about, like, why hasn't Ainsworth told you all this stuff, and why do you accept it so willingly? And
Right.
she talks about how
Her mom regretted having
her father and her brother left her, and she's kind of on the line of ignorance is bliss at this point. I don't want to give him an excuse to leave me for any reason by me prying too much or something.
Yeah. I didn't totally buy that because we haven't seen her act very fearful of being abandoned. She seems not only to not be afraid of Ainsworth, but also to like trust him. And she kind of assumes that the status quo is going to continue to be the status quo,
Rather than being worried that it might not.
Yeah, like she doesn't seem to be worried about her potential death because he has a plan to save her. She doesn't know what that is, but she's just chilling, I guess.
Chilling like a villain.
Yeah, hanging out in their little cabin with her new dog friend and the mute maid.
Silver.
Yeah, who she calls Silky, I think.
Yep.
It's like a nickname or something.
I assume so.
I don't like every time her relationship, like another character comments on or questions her relationship with Ainsworth, I never really buy her response to that. I don't really like the dynamic between the two of them, or I don't feel about them the way that I think the show wants me to feel.
Okay.
I just think the show like looks pretty good and has some cool characters that I like, and like the Lyndall's. I don't know if it was his familiar exactly,
I think
or
it is.
the little seal person. Like that thing was so cute, and it made that little water barrier so they wouldn't be detected as they flew through the sky on the dragon. That's like stuff like that is interesting to me. I'm in it for like the Harry Potter mythology
And the little
magic
baby
kind of
dragon
stuff.
that grew up in several episodes' time.
Yeah, well, I think it was supposed to be like months between now and then. I do think that there's a pretty big amount of time between all these episodes,
Yeah.
or a lot of them, because they're all like mini arcs, or some of them are.
Yep, little 2, maybe 3 episodes between them.
Yep. I'm running out of stuff to say about this show. What else? I took almost no notes.
Well, there wasn't much to take notes on this episode.
Yeah. Oh, Elias Ainsworth is not his real name, obviously. I mean, we
He doesn't
didn't
have a name.
Well, didn't we learn it? We learned his name.
No, then it wasn't necessarily his name. That's like his. And when they spoke it, it almost sounded like it was the Latin word for some kind of
Oh,
animal.
didn't we look it up? Isn't it like Tulim Parialis or something?
Oh,
It was
yeah. It
the
was the double-sided pointy stick.
right. And
Yeah.
I was like, maybe he's named that because half of it's in the earth and half of it is in the sky or whatever. So he's like half fairy, half man, or
Right.
And the Lyndall's tutor or teacher or senpai or whatever also comments on the fact that
You're mostly a fairy, but you're also part human.
yeah, there's some human in you.
It's like, so I don't know if you were a human who tried to do an experiment or if you're the result of an experiment or whatever.
Right.
There's no real way to know.
Yeah, the show is still teasing us with that, and I wish it would, hurry up and deliver the goods, and like move on to like a meteor story.
A meteor coming at the Earth?
Oh. Spoilers for Inuyashiki.
I don't think anyone's going to mind being spoiled.
Dude, people love that show. But people also have shit taste, so.
But there's no such thing as shit taste, as we've discussed earlier.
I retract my original position. Inuyashiki is bad.
And you should feel bad.
One of the guys on our blog really loves it, so.
No.
But that's cool. Next up, we got Dandy or Ava. Which should we do?
Let's do Dandy.
Okay. We'll save Ava for last, I guess.
Yeah.
We just got finished talking about Mahoutsukai no Yome in just like 10 minutes. I feel like we could probably go through both of these Dandy episodes in about the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And maybe part of that is because I don't totally understand what I just watched as far as episode 11 goes.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
I thought it made sense.
I'm confused.
I got most of it.
I mean,
I hope.
I'm confused or I forget seems to be like my catchphrase.
The theme of this show.
Yeah, I'm always forgetting like what I watched or what it means or, whatever. But the episode 11 was just like, it was weird. That was the one with the library.
Yeah, it was.
The the biggest library in the galaxy or the universe or whatever.
Yep.
And
the alien species that's a book.
yeah, and apparently there were 6 months of the crew's life that they don't remember because the book was like journeying with them and gathering new information. And then what? The structure of the episode, the fact that it starts with them at the Alien Registration Center with the box.
And ends with them at the Alien Registration Center with the box.
Yeah, I don't really understand the timeline progression because at the start, when they open the box, it's that little piece of paper with
Right.
text on it. And that's like kind of the MacGuffin that is used to further the story, like to take them to the library.
Right.
Because Honey at Boobies like reads it and says, "Oh yeah, this is a coupon or whatever."
This is a coupon for a 3-night stay and free food and booze.
Right.
And all the books you can read.
Right. Which of course is interesting to no one.
QT.
Well, yeah, QT when he I think
It?
yeah.
It's probably
I'm going
more
to say
appropriate.
he.
Sure.
I mean, we're getting a QT episode. Next episode's a QT episode.
The last episode this season?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really, really good. It's one of my favorites from season 1,
All right, cool.
which I'm glad about because I don't think either of these two episodes were like, spectacular or anything.
I thought you would have liked episode 11.
No, I understand why you would think that I would like it because, I'm into like weird trippy stuff, I guess.
No, you're just into like this experimental kind of.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not sure how successful an experiment episode 11 was. Did I phrase that correctly? I'm not sure how
think so.
successful an experiment episode 11 was.
Yeah, you got that.
The fact that when they opened the box the first time, it was the coupon, or it's not really a coupon, but it appears to be. It's that little scrap of paper. And then at the end, when they open the box again, it's something else. Dude, what was it the second time? I don't remember.
The second time it was a.
Oh, it was a cassette tape.
Yeah, or it was a VHS.
Yeah, a VHS. And the narrator explains that
It has
copies of it get made, like put on floppy disks and laser disks and stuff, and a war is started over them, which ends the galaxy.
because they have the ability to like reprogram people's minds.
Yeah, and then no one remembers.
Yeah.
What?
I feel like the whole episode is a metaphor for something, and it went either way over our heads or so far under our feet because it wasn't explained right.
Yeah, it definitely went over my head. I don't really get it. One thing that I did notice, like when they opened the box the first time at the Alien
It
Registration Center,
desaturated everything.
yeah, it desaturated everything, and there was also like kind of a
parchment background.
what?
You know, it had like the texture of like parchment. All the
Yeah, but like
backgrounds.
time kind of froze, right?
Essentially.
Maybe they like entered a different timeline or universe or like string of reality after they opened the box. Because the whole idea is like it's Schrodinger's cat.
It's Schrodinger's book.
Yeah, pretty much. Or Schrodinger's box. So what exactly happened when they opened the box the first time? Or was that even the first time? Was that like a flash forward?
I think it was actually the first time.
Okay. So
And
then why are the contents of the box different the second time?
Because the first time they open it is when they meet Paper Manual Alien.
But then how did they get the box if they hadn't met Paper Manual Alien yet?
They thought they had captured a rare alien and it was a book. They're very dumb. I don't know.
I don't know, dude. I don't think that's right. I feel like it's the timeline of the episode's more complicated than that.
It might be.
I don't think we were shown everything in chronological order, but I lack the brain power to put it all together. You got the brain power?
I don't think so. I did like how after they opened the box the first time, it went from the traditional animation style the Dandy's done in to sort of like the backgrounds became watercolor-esque.
Right. And the ship, like Dr. Gel's ship,
Right.
became like super
It was just
off model and
it was
just like a squiggle.
Weird squiggle, yes. And he's just writing down formulas and like, I feel like this is missing something. He draws boobs on it, and then they move over to where they were supposed to be on the manual.
And then he unlocks like the secret of the universe.
Right. And it turns out that book was an overdue book for the Gogol Empire.
Yeah.
It was explaining the universe for dummies or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. The cosmos.
Explaining the cosmos for dummies.
It was a strange episode, and might be my least favorite, honestly. Except maybe episode 3, which is the one where they go to the planet with the girl who turns into the monster
giant
with like
monster.
1,000 boobs.
Yep.
I don't like that one too much
Death
either.
by Snoo Snoo.
If only that had been the title of the episode, I would have liked it so much more. Episode 12 was a little bit more straightforward and fun, though.
Yeah.
My favorite part was when QT learned to love fishing. And he started a fishing journal and like a blog, and he had those sunglasses on.
And he's using all the slang and everything like
Yeah.
that. And it's like, we're getting up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I don't do 4:30.
I made my own fishing lure. It worked out perfectly, just as I had planned.
I thought him with his little glasses on, that was like so
And
cute.
and the vest.
Yeah. That was fun. And the game that they play, like to see who's the real dandy.
Right, who's the dandiest dandy?
Yeah. Is that your final dandy? And the shot of QT's face just inching across the screen. Like
And it did-
this. I don't know if panning works on this microphone.
I can automate it in post.
Okay, don't bother.
Okay.
That just cracked me up. I remembered it as soon as it happened. I remembered laughing really hard the first time that I saw it. When you see his little face, like the Lenny face.
I thought it was cool how they did the same thing that every like Whose Line Is It Anyway or Who's Wants to Be a Millionaire
Right.
show kind of does, where the camera just like slowly zooms in on like 4 different people's faces while you're waiting for your final answer for no reason other than to fill the gap of time that would exist in something like that. I thought that was very cool.
Oh, did you remember? You remember after he? I mean, the whole reason they're fishing is because they're trying to catch the chameleonian,
Right.
and it turns out they do catch it. QT catches some black fish,
Some black
looking
and red
thing.
looking fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it turns out it's a person. And then they're hunting for the chameleonian, and he's a dude just following them around.
Yeah. This episode, it was funny, pretty fun.
Quirky.
Do you remember when QT is like obsessing over his new catch that's in the cage? He's taking pictures and he's like, "I'm gonna upload it to my blog. Maybe it'll become a meme."
Yes.
I should have looked to see what the
Japanese was.
yeah, well, what the translation of the Japanese was, like what the sub said. I doubt they said that.
I thought that as soon as I heard that, I was like, that was a localization. Although they do have memes over there. I just don't. There may
course.
not be a Japanese word for meme yet.
They might use the English term.
It's possible.
I don't know. We could look that up, or not.
Or not. That's too much work.
One thing that I did note about this episode was that after the quiz to determine like whether Dandy or the chameleonian was the real Dandy, like he kind of gets existential about it. Like he starts to question his own existence, and he wonders, am I actually the chameleon? And I've just like I'm inhabiting my role so well that I've tricked myself. I've deluded myself
into believing
thinking
that I am Dandy.
Yeah, but when he thinks about that for a while, and then he decides, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna live my life. I'm gonna go like normal. I'm gonna go with the flow. That reminded me of Spike from Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be his way of living, is to just take things as they come and not stress or worry too much and just go with the flow. I'm always looking for like Bebop parallels when I watch this show. So that's, it stuck out to me.
I'm sure they're tucked in there on purpose as well.
What else? I think that's pretty much it, maybe.
Yeah, and then he accidentally grabs the guy from the Gogol Empire, Dr. Gel.
Right.
Grabs the chameleonian.
Yeah.
And then he turns into Dr. Gel again.
Right. And he starts like scribbling equations on the floor, right, to try to figure out who's the real one. So that's back-to-back episodes where we see Dr. Gel
being a doctor.
Yeah.
Actually,
or
being
a scientist, or like a, some kind of
he may be a monkey,
physicist,
but he's a brilliant scientist.
My theory is that Dr. Gel, I don't know if I've explained this in a past episode of this podcast, but my theory is that, do you remember that Bebop episode where the eco-terrorists are all turned into monkeys with that virus?
Yes.
I think Dr. Gel is one of those monkeys.
That's possible.
Yeah. That's just my little theory.
I mean, they are in the same universe, technically speaking.
Because of Wulongs.
Yep. Currency. Hey, look at that. I just found 50 Wulongs.
All right. Anything else to say?
Not really.
Is that your final dandy?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Final dandy. All right. Children of the Whales is the show that we're going to talk about now.
And that is a thing that is happening.
Thanks, Purd. All right, where are my Children of the Whale notes at? Here they are at the top, because I watched it first, because I just couldn't wait to see what ridiculous stuff was going to happen in this episode. So what ridiculous stuff did happen in this episode?
The gift that was given to Chakuro.
Right, the Kokolo.
Is a cute little animal.
Yeah, I kept describing it as like a fruit or a seed. But
And
yeah,
it's an
indeed,
animal.
it was some kind of rodent or something. Like a little squirrel.
Kind of looked like a ferret.
Yeah, something like that. Yep, that's what it was. And it does unite with Emma, the personification of the Falena news.
And the news has been leveled up. Now it can go somewhere other than random.
Yeah, I don't understand how that works exactly. Like, Emma explains to Chakuro that now that
Falena has its guidance system back.
Right, so how do they steer it? Like, mechanically, I guess.
What do you mean? Who steer it?
Well, she says to Chakuro that now you and other people on the Mud Whale can decide its course.
Maybe it just follows like the will of the general population.
Man, that would be super hard to program, I guess. How would you
Everyone
figure that
decide,
out?
or the leader says, "This is what we're going to do," and everyone thinks, "Okay, this is what we're going to do," and the news thinks, "Okay, this is what we're going to do."
Maybe it just has to do with like thymia,
Don't know.
because thymia is basically like willpower. It's like chakra. It's whatever you want it to be. So maybe they can just use thymia and just say it's magic,
It's it's thymia, man.
right? So that's what the Kokolo was. And I did figure that was going to be like the direction that the series took was the news was going to get leveled up and they were going to go off on some adventure or something. So there are 2 episodes left at this point because out of 12 we just watched the 10th.
Yeah. Not much can really be done in those 2 episodes without them massively accelerating the timeline.
Right. Which they may do. A lot of anime do that. Now that like the standard series order is 12 episodes ish, a lot of them tell stories that you can understand for the first like 9 or 10 episodes, and then for the last 2 they just dump all their ideas onto the page, and they're like, oh, we're not risking not getting a sequel. This is everything we wanted to say. Here it all is. We're sorry if it's flying at you too fast. So yeah, the news is leveled up now and they can go wherever they want. And there was one other major development in this episode, which you predicted.
Right, another country was going to show up.
Right. So another mud whale or another, what's the term for
Another
continent drift
civilization
thing? Yeah, civilization. Another civilization shows up. They all have ridiculous hair and outfits.
and blue hourglass.
Yeah, what was the deal with that guy's like sand gun or whatever?
I don't know.
That was crazy. So they have that technology,
But they don't have thymia.
yeah, that's weird. I thought thymia was like a constant in
Apparently
this
not.
universe. Yeah, strange.
Well, maybe they're from. Maybe they're not from a mud whale. Maybe they're from like a landmass.
Well, I think mud whale is just the term that the people of Falena have for their own ship.
Right.
So I mean, they do the people. I can't remember what the civilization was called or what that guy's 6 names were with the crazy hair.
Yeah.
He had a ton of names.
He remembered all the names. You want some food?
They do come on like a little ship thing.
Yeah.
I guess it remains to be seen whether they do come from a larger like country or continent.
I
or
think
whatever.
that rather than coming from like a noose-powered object, they're from just like a normal landmass, like we would be.
Well, but they need a noose, right? You need a noose to travel across the sand ocean, don't you?
Not if you had technology, like propellers
I guess, yeah.
and
And
steamboats that used had those little big paddle wheels.
Right.
You could still get across the sand ocean like that.
They do have that crazy gun.
Yeah.
So who knows what else their society has been able to dream up, and design.
because they haven't had, thymia to fall back on, then they'd have to go, if you don't have magic, you have technology. That's how fantasy stuff goes.
Right. It's always a war between those two. And clowns. Don't forget clowns.
Yep.
The show loves its clowns.
Jesters. You will now be my jester.
Yeah. So the guy who, first of all, purple hair is still alive, even though we saw him get his little graceful death after he rolled off a cliff and into a field of flowers and then off the mud whale.
He's still alive.
Did we know that he was still alive? It was supposed to come as a surprise, right? We hadn't seen him between now and that.
We hadn't seen him.
Yeah. So he's still alive, and it was Lycos' older brother, right?
Yes.
Who was like, "You're going to be my jester now."
Yeah.
What?
This is because he's supposed to be dead.
Yeah,
he's listed as dead, and it's like, this is the only way I can include you in my further plans. You are now my jester.
I know, but what? Like, hello? What's with this development?
Hello from the other side.
He's still like super bloodthirsty and crazy. So
I need to go back there so that I can
have like see my friends and kill them and
kill
stuff.
people. Yeah.
All kinds of crazy. So the guy's name is Leo Dari, the purple hair guy. I made sure to write that down this time because I keep referring to him as like the nutcase or whatever. Man. Oh, the captain, the like super emotionless blonde captain with the eye patch.
Yeah.
On the mud whale.
The super elder is his mother.
Mom, right? And his wife is dead, and he doesn't want to like look at her. But then he does that classic anime thing where like his tears fall from his eyes.
I'm crying and I don't know why.
Yeah, and then he's like, What is this? What is this salty discharge?"
Cut me some of her hair.
It's just such bad dialogue whenever someone's like, "Oh, what? I'm crying." I guess they just need to be more honest with their feelings.
Who knew? It's not like that's a recurring theme.
Right, yeah. It's never been done in anime before. And we also learned there was some line of dialogue about Oni's ability to destroy
The news.
the news. Yeah, I guess I completely forgot
That he did that?
That he was the one who destroyed the Skelos
I
news.
remember mentioning it to you last episode.
Okay. I just
several
thought,
times.
I just thought it kind of like, I don't know, blew up or whatever.
No,
I completely missed that really crucial detail.
he went Super Saiyan, killed everybody in the room, and blew up the news.
Was this after he got back from his like alternate world viewing of his friends like descent under the waves or whatever?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, I do kind of remember that. So he goes nuts, and then like all the cracks start appearing in the Skelos. Is that when those like rainbow colored hands and arms and plants and stuff start popping up? Okay. Yeah, so Oni's like a super badass or whatever.
I guess.
And he can destroy...
I can destroy nooses.
Yeah, nooses.
Nooses eye.
Noosai? Nui?
Nui?
Noir.
I don't know. I'm not a linguist.
Yeah, me neither. Obviously.
Oh yeah, I remembered there had to be just a huge bath scene
Oh, yeah.
for no reason.
Well, there was a quote-unquote reason, which was that it's a tradition, right? When there hasn't been rainfall for a while, they play in the water.
When there hasn't been rain for a while, then we need to use the water.
Yeah, that makes no sense
And
at all.
let's make all of the water dirty as well, because we run around on something covered in dirt.
Yeah, that makes about as much sense as the tradition of letting all the prisoners go free whenever there's a rainbow in the sky.
They don't make much sense.
Like, I appreciate that the show is trying to build traditions into its world, and you know,
And they're also essentially the polar opposite of what any rational person would do.
yeah, that's kind of unfortunate in terms of the show's believability or my ability to like care about what's going on.
Right.
But they decided to have a pool party because there hasn't been enough rain.
Nope.
So yeah, they all get naked, and then Suo as a result is naked when
And he greets them.
he greets the
He's
people
such
from
a beautiful naked man.
Oh boy. You got any other observations about this crazy nonsensical show, which we've managed to make it, almost all the way through?
Yeah, somehow. I don't know. I just felt like this episode was more normal.
Yeah, you commented on that before we started the podcast. I kind of agree that this was one of the better episodes of the show. It was like, there was a lot of downtime to it because the main conflict is over. So it was more about, characters just bouncing off one another and existing as people rather than as like, tools of the plot. And it was mildly successful, I think.
I think so. I
Yeah.
liked it more than the last couple episodes.
Yeah.
We got some more world development because we got another faction into the mix, and they really like their food, even though they continually say it's disgusting.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either. I guess he just doesn't want to admit that the food is good, so he keeps saying it's bad.
I would say so.
I really doubt that was like a terrible mistranslation.
I don't think it was either. I'm going to take all of your bamboo back with me.
Yeah, he's still acting super entitled, even after he got put in his place by the captain guy, who like stole all their guns with A.N.I.M.E.
It's just like, lol, what are you guys going to do?
Yep, technology versus magic.
Magic wins most of the time.
I think you mean Thymia wins.
Love wins,
Yeah,
man.
that's right.
That's exactly where we were going with that.
All right, last show, Evangelion. Oh boy.
Got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Oh yes, indeedy.
I didn't write much.
Oh my gosh, I have like a full page of notes almost.
Yep.
I mean, and if I had been writing it up as like a blog post or something, it would have been,
Several
like thousands of
pages.
words.
Yeah.
These episodes were crazy. So I guess we can just. What did you get? What do you want to talk about first?
Well, episode 15 had less information in it than 16.
You think so?
I think so, because I think 15 was focused a lot more on just the characters in their non.
They're non.
They're non, Ava fighting.
Yeah,
ways.
it's true. There in episode 14 there was no angel fight, so that was last week.
Episode 15,
and then
there
15
isn't.
no angel fight. So that's probably the biggest gap between angel appearances that show's ever had, if I were to guess.
I think so.
Yeah,
The
because
focus is on like their personal lives.
yeah, Misato and Ritsuko have to go to the wedding. Like all their friends are getting married.
It's like everyone's trying to get married before they're 30.
Yeah.
What fools.
Well, it makes sense that people would be doing that because like the end of the world is nigh,
It's the end of the world.
as we know it.
So let's get married.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think that exact scenario would probably play out if angels were attacking in real life. Like people would be rushing to get married.
Yeah, I think so.
Because like, well, we're American. So America still believes in marriage. Like the marriage rate is quite high, even though the divorce rate's high too. So people still believe in marriage. So I think that's something people would do if the end of the world were approaching.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Give it like,
I mean, there are such great tax benefits.
right. For dead people.
Yeah.
Give it like 200 more years and maybe we as a country won't care so much about marriage anymore. And maybe that wouldn't be people's inclination. Like maybe that wouldn't be something that they want to kick off their bucket list real quick. But it makes sense to me that people are doing it, in the show.
Sure.
Yeah, so we get to see Ritsuko and Kaji and Misato all like, hanging out together.
Just like old times.
Right, because they all were...
in college together.
Yes, they were. We learned a lot about Kaji in both of these episodes, I think.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was mostly episode
mostly
15.
in 15.
Yeah. But I think he's in 16 too, right? Isn't he?
He's in a couple scenes, yeah.
Okay. I just watched them and I already like am losing, it's like sand through your fingers.
I think they were the
I'm losing
third
some
thing
details.
I watched. I watched Hellsing and then Dandy and then
Evangelion.
Evangelion, yeah. And then the last two, and then I jetted over here.
Right. So yeah, we learned a lot about Kaji. We learned that he is a double agent.
Yes.
He's not just working for Gendo. He's also working for some...
An investigative team, essentially, like from the UN or something.
Right. Which...
was trying to look into Nerve's inner workings. Like, what are you guys really doing?
Right. And at the end of the episode, we see Misato, like, holding him at gunpoint, forbidding him from going into the
You're like, don't
the
do
room.
this. And he does it anyways. And he's
Yeah.
like, well, not going to shoot you.
Yeah, well, she's curious.
Yeah.
She wants to know, too.
Which is explored further in 16 as well.
Yeah. And, dude, all the stuff that we see at the end of... Well, hold on. So, episode 15, he's... He meets with another woman. You remember the woman that he met with the dog?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the same woman or not. I can't remember exactly what they look like. But this is a pattern of him meeting with...
He's meeting people
informants
in what look like innocuous situations.
Right. And the woman says, your job is to report on Nerve. So that's the confirmation that we get of him being like a spy, a double agent.
Yeah.
Dude, so much stuff went on in this episode.
It's so dense.
So yeah, they're at a bar, the three of them, Ritsuko, Misato, Kaji. They're at a bar after the wedding, and we learn after Misato goes to the bathroom, Ritsuko says to Kaji, "You better stop snooping around." So she knows that
and it's like
something's going on with him.
Of course. It's like, do you really? And I remember Misato elaborates on that further when he's in front of the console. It's like, did you really think we didn't know what you were doing? It's like, we're a little smarter than you think we are.
Give Nerve more credit than that.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate Nerve.
Don't underestimate us.
Yeah, and Dude, all the reveals in this episode were crazy. Okay, so we see Rey in the tank with Gendo like looking at her and smiling. What do you make of that?
With that like that giant machine above her.
Yeah.
I mean, I can take shots in the dark at this, but they're all gonna miss. Every single one of them. They're
Well,
all.
what do you think what do you think the deal is with her being in the tank?
I think she's. I don't think she was like born of a normal person. I don't think she's like someone's daughter or something like that.
Right, you think she's like genetically engineered or whatever, like a test tube
Genetically
baby.
engineered, or like, you know, has partial angel DNA, or God only knows.
Right. Yeah. So why is she in the tank? Why does she need to be in there?
Maybe otherwise she could die.
So she just has to go into the tank every once in a while, like she isn't able to support herself.
Essentially.
Yeah. We've never seen her eat, have we? She makes a comment in one episode that she doesn't like meat.
Yeah.
She doesn't eat meat. So that kind of implies that it doesn't guarantee that she eats other types of food, but it kind of implies that she does.
we do see her we see her eat.
We do? What?
Yeah, when they all go out for
Oh,
ramen.
yeah. When they all go out for ramen, and
She gets like a veggie bowl or something.
doesn't she attend one of like the little parties at Misato's house?
Yeah, she does. So we see her eat, but it's
or does
never any meat.
Right. Maybe like her being in the tank is just necessary for her to live. Like she's getting some kind of nutrition or sustenance.
Or it's like rebuilding her cells or something.
Yeah, something like that. And you know, she smiles at Gendo through the tank, and he smiles back.
Yeah.
But that's not the only thing we learn about. I mean, I guess we'll get to that in a second. That's not the only thing that we learn about Rey.
Right.
In these episodes.
Right.
But
in 15, that we don't learn.
Yeah,
like
that's
the
last.
But
we
in
see
16, we learn more.
Yeah. So at the other big reveal at the end of episode 15 is
the first angel is in the basement.
Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First angel is Adam, and the Lance of Longinus is through where its heart would be if it was a human.
Right. Yeah. So it's pinned to that cross-looking thing with the Lance of Longinus, and we saw Rey's Ava carrying the lance at the end of episode 14. I think.
Yep. Going down there essentially to do that, most likely.
Right. So Adam is being kept
just
deep
the
beneath.
spooky monster in the basement.
Right. Have you like all the techno babble that goes on when they're on the bridge or whatever, whenever there's an angel attack? Mm-hmm. Have you heard the phrase terminal dogma?
Yes, several times now.
Yeah. That's where they were.
Right. I remember
sure they were.
the subtext up top was mentioned that it was like 2,008 meters down or something like that,
Right.
which is almost a mile below the Earth's surface, which is way farther than we've ever gotten.
Yeah, it's real deep. So Adam's down there. Rey's decompression chamber or whatever
Is down there.
Who knows what else is down there, man? Nerf's got some secrets. Gendo's got some secrets.
I would imagine that any organization that fights extraterrestrial beings has some secrets.
Yeah.
What else happens in 15?
Dude, so much stuff. Oh my gosh. Shinji visits his mom's grave.
Right, with his dad.
So I think this is the first confirmation that we got that his mom is dead.
Right. It is. And we learned that she died 13 years prior.
No, that's not right. She died in 2004.
So 11
right?
years prior.
Yeah, I think
because it's the year
years.
2015.
Right.
Every show that went to the future went to 2015. Back to the Future, this show. I think Cowboy Bebop went way further. I think
Oh, it did. It was like 21 something, I think.
it had X's in it, I think.
No, that's Mega Man.
Oh, okay.
The year
2066.
What? Oh, so yeah, they visit Yui's grave. That's the name of Shinji's mom, Gendo's wife. And dude, that scene is so strange. They share like Shinji and his dad. They share a few words. Shinji's like, are there any photographs of her? He says, nope.
Nope, got rid of everything. It's all in my mind where I need it.
Right. He doesn't say that he got rid of it, but Shinji accuses him of having gotten rid of it.
It's like, did you just get rid of everything, or?
Yeah, and then he leaves in the helicopter and
Shinji's
doesn't
still
take
there.
Shinji with. Like, yeah, it's so strange. It really illustrates the big gap between the two of them.
Yeah.
And we see that Rei is in the helicopter that comes to pick him up. And like it's so weird that he just gets on the helicopter and flies away, and then Shinji watches him go and just turns around and walks out of the frame.
Yeah, this is fine.
Yeah,
This is normal.
I feel so bad for the kid, man.
Misato, can you pick me up?
And he's so
My dad left me here.
and he's so hung up on his dad's, like praise and approval and stuff.
As a lot of people are.
Yeah, but Shinji is like really, he doesn't really have anything going for him in his life, like
Other than saving the world.
yeah. But he's not too hot on that.
No.
Until episode 16.
Where his dad is like, good job, son.
Well, no, his dad said, "Good job, son," like a while ago.
Oh yeah, that was.
And he was remembering it. But in episode 16, he gets the best results out of the 3 pilots
Right.
when they do the sync tests.
And that doesn't end up going super well for him.
yeah, it goes to his head a little bit.
I don't think it really went to his head that much. We're jumping into 16. We still haven't finished with 15.
That's fine.
I don't think it went to his head that much. I think it was more that Asuka goaded him into it more than anything else.
Yeah, she definitely did. Little brat that she is. She kind of manipulated him into,
I'm bored. Do you want to make out?
Yeah, that was weird too. That was episode 15, right?
Don't breathe, otherwise it tickles. I'm gonna hold your nose.
Yeah, that was very strange. I was weirded out by that the first time
It's
I
like
watched the
note
show.
to self, not a good use of time.
Yeah.
And he just slowly changes colors, and the penguin walks in. It's just like, I'm gonna go in my home now. It like goes back under the counter.
It's a strange scene for sure.
Turns like-
Asuka comes home from a date with
Yeah.
a boy that like the class president had tried to set her up with,
Yeah.
and she's like, he was so boring. There are no real men around except for Kaji-san.
Right.
She's obsessed with Kaji. So I guess I don't know. I guess she has like pent up sexual energy that she wants to get out.
I guess. I mean, Germany's culture is a lot different than Japan's.
Yeah, she keeps complaining about Japanese culture.
Well, they're a lot in Germany and a lot of European countries. They're a lot more, open and outwards with.
Like they're less reserved.
Yeah, they're much less reserved,
Yeah, like sexually speaking.
and everything
guess.
else as well.
I guess, yeah. I think Asuka's just really like messed up, and she,
Aren't they all?
yeah,
Isn't
they all,
everyone in
they
this
all
show
are,
horribly messed up.
pretty much. But I think Asuka like really needs attention, and so I think sexual attention is probably
The easiest one to get.
well, yeah. That might be the one that she. Well, I mean, if you buy into the theory that all like the sexual drive of humans is like the strongest drive that there is, that it kind of underlies everything, as Freud would have said. And I think the show is quite Freudian. Like I think that when Anno created it, he had a lot of that stuff in mind. That like that's probably what Asuka goes to,
You could say it's a Freudian slip.
Tee-hee. So I think that's just like when she wants attention, she thinks to herself like it's reliable, that I'll be able to make Shinji, pay attention to me or like have me at the center of his world or whatever.
Sure.
It's very very it's like hard to articulate exactly what's going on in the scene. It's pretty complicated. And really weird. You don't see a lot of stuff like that going on in
No.
any other anime series
No, I don't think
or
so.
anything else. What, dude? We're probably not even halfway done talking about episode.
No,
15.
I don't think so.
What else went on? Oh, the washcloth. So we talked a lot about Asuka. She's, well, we got ahead of ourselves a little bit talking about how she was manipulating Shinji in episode 16. She's being manipulative in a different way in episode 15 when she's like, "Do you want to try kissing?" But there's Rei as well, who like wrings out the washcloth in school when they're cleaning up the room.
So you do that the way a mother would.
Yeah, Shinji like
Comments on it.
yeah, and in the elevator at Nerve, he's like, maybe you'd make a good housewife, and she like blushes. So very, very different than what we've come to expect from Rei.
Yeah, it's the first time that she really expresses any sort of emotion. Well, the second time actually. The first time when she slaps Shinji.
Well, she also smiles
at Gendo.
No, she smiles at Shinji in
when he saves her and asks her to.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know what I should do in this situation. He says, you should smile. So Shinji like makes a connection, I guess, between the way that Rei wrings out the washcloth and the way a mother would.
I don't know how you can read that much into a washcloth wringing out, but he managed to.
Yeah, but that's not the only connection between motherhood and Rei in these two episodes, right? Because I guess we can talk about episode 16 now, because that's kind of where the point lies that I want to make.
Okay.
He, dude, what did I want to say?
Rei, motherhood, washcloth.
I just heard like some noise downstairs and it distracted me.
Right.
Yeah. So Shinji, when he like foolishly confronts the angel in episode 16, that black and white floating sphere.
Yep. Which isn't actually there.
Yeah, it's the shadow, and the thing on the ground is the actual angel. That's all like kind of interesting.
It exists in like a different dimension. It's like, how deep is that shadow? 3 nanometers. What? It just swallowed a city.
So Shinji gets trapped in there.
In another dimension, essentially, yes.
Yeah, the Sea of Dirac, they call it. So he's trapped in there, and he like has a conversation with
different versions of himself.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if like, is he talking to the angel, which takes on the form of a younger Shinji, or is it all in his own head, or like what's actually going on physically when he's on the train, because it's that whole conversation. It's him sitting on one side of the train and his younger self, like kind of in shadowed.
Well, if it's a portal to another dimension, it could be an alternate reality.
So you think that maybe he really was in a train car in another reality? I think that was probably metaphorical, right?
It could have been, but it could have been literal. I mean, at the same time, we also know he never leaves the
entry plug.
The entry plug.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, he is in the entry plug the whole time, because the show makes sure to point out like, the LCL is losing its oxygen, and
right. It's getting hard for me to breathe. Even my suit's about to run out of power. I'm gonna die.
Right.
It's like, well, this is it.
And you kind of think that he does die, right? Because like the little choir or whatever, the little vocal bit is playing as he says, "I'm just so tired of all of this." It kind of feels like he's died a little bit, and then, bless you.
Thank you.
You got one more coming?
Yeah.
Are we done?
Yeah, we're good.
All
I've been sneezing a lot today. I don't know why.
I don't know, man.
Too many drugs.
Those winter allergies. Yeah, those drugs will make you sneeze.
Yep.
So the point that I'm belaboring here is that when he's about to die, when he's near death or whatever, his like the specter of his mother appears to him in the Eva, and
or in his mind at least.
Yeah, in his mind. Yeah, and he remembers a phrase that she once said. That's like good for you. But in Japanese, they're saying yokatta ne. So it's not like the translation is it's well, that's good for you. But as an English speaker, when you read those words, it kind of comes across like sarcastically
or condescending.
Yeah, but that's not
oh, good for you.
That's not what yokatta ne is like a very sincere. Oh, that's great! Like that's wonderful for you.
Congratulations. Yeah. Okay.
So that's his mom is in his memory is being like reassuring and saying to, I assume, his younger self, because we get that little frame of him like going like this and holding out something for his mom to look at.
Right.
And she says yokatta ne. Like, oh, that's wonderful. So he hears that, This is really taking me a long time to get to my point. And then later, when he's in bed after the whole operation's over or whatever, and he's
Ray
escaped.
says it.
Yes, Ray says it. And he like sits up.
It's like, and
Yeah.
you also see Asuka was there, and it's just
Yeah.
like, don't give me away, Ray.
Well, he saw her.
Yeah.
So that's another connection that I finally managed to get out of my mouth
Okay.
between Ray and motherhood, and specifically like Shinji's conception of what a mother is and his actual mother.
What if Ray is Shinji's sister?
It's possible. It's possible that I mean, your theory, or one of your theories, I don't know, is that she's a test tube baby.
Right.
So maybe she has some of Shinji's DNA. I mean, they're the same age. Maybe they're twins.
It's possible.
Yeah. I mean, they're both anime characters, so they have the same face. Just different hair, eye color, and body shape.
Right. But also being like a genetically engineered person, all of that could change. So,
Right. Yeah, it's definitely, it kind of makes sense, right, that they would be related, because he is kind of associating her with not only motherhood, but his own mother. And who knows, like, how accurate that is, This could just be associations that he's making because there's a hole in his life where his mother once was.
And when there's a hole in anyone's life, we always
fill
try
it.
to fill it with something that's, if not the same, as close as possible.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Rei is probably closer to his mother than Misato.
Yeah, I would say so.
She's not much of a mom.
Although she's like, I'm going to have to scold Shinji after he gets back. That never happens.
I was actually really touched seeing her like fall down like on top of him, just sobbing, having forgotten that she was going to like scold him. She was just so happy to have him back. And he says to her, "I just wanted to see you one more time." But to me, I think that those words were actually meant for his mother. Because this is at the end of episode 16 after he...
Yeah, because everything's like kind of blurry when he wakes up.
Yeah, I guess. No, it's not, is it? Doesn't he clearly see? Maybe he's like kind of out of it.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I think that's what was going on. I think when he says, "I just wanted to see you one more time," he's just gotten through having the experience where the apparition of his mother has appeared to him. So I think that's probably he's conflating the two in his head, Misato and his mom. And there was actually another instance of him doing that somewhere in the episode, and I think I made a note of it. Yeah, like when he has his whole psychological self-examination or whatever, there's that whole scene where there's like audio snippets of people being like, "Oh, Gendo, he killed his wife."
Right.
And then Shinji starts to think about his mother, and then that scene...
And there's just like this huge like flash of like newspaper articles and stuff. And it's like, I can't read any of this. I'm trying to read the subtitles as they fly by, but nope, not a chance.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like going back and frame by framing it because I feel like that's cheating.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. It
I feel
might
like
be,
it's meant to be subtext.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of like quick shots of stuff in Evangelion. That's like one of Anno's trademarks. It's in the opening. It's in just ordinary, like when Shinji says to Rei, like, "What kind of person is my dad? I saw you two getting along one time." There's those two quick shots of Rei's face and Gendo's face
Right
before they get back to... That's something that Anno really loves doing, not just in Evangelion either. That's one of his like directorial tricks. But the part where he kind of mixes Misato and his mom up is right after that scene with all the newspaper articles and stuff. He's thinking about his mother, and then that scene of Misato in the hallway saying, "You did something like really worth praising."
Right after the third angel.
Yeah, he remembers that.
Yeah,
as he's like thinking about his mom. So he's associating Rei with motherhood. He's associating Misato with being his, quote unquote mother.
Well, she has her moments to seeming like one.
I guess, yeah. I would say that Misato, she has her moments, is definitely a good phrase to describe Misato. because she's just trying like the best she can to keep it together, at the end of the world, which is where they all are. It's rough, man. I think Misato is my favorite
That's
character.
rough, buddy.
I think Misato is my favorite character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who would you say yours is if you had to give one? It's a little hard to pick in Eva because
everyone's so terrible.
Yeah.
Or everyone's so flawed is an easier way to say it.
Yeah, I mean some of them really are terrible.
I don't know.
Not ready to say?
No, I feel like I shouldn't say until everything's over. I mean, I would say Asuka at this point.
Yeah.
Because she's just the brash, bratty person.
She definitely has like the biggest personality.
Yeah. She seems the most, I don't know, she almost seems like she's the least damaged. But at the same time, that appearance, a lot of people that seem perfectly normal or have like these big, larger than life personalities in real life can be hiding the most damage.
Right.
Because it's, rather than, trying to cope with it, you just way overcompensate and become something completely different.
I think Asuka's pretty messed up. I mean, when Shinji gets the best test scores in episode 16 on the sync test, she cannot handle that like at all.
And she's doing it to prove to herself.
Well, that's what she says, because Rei kind of interrogates her. She's like, do you just do this? Do you just pilot the Eva for praise? And she says, no, I do it
for self-affirmation, essentially.
Yeah, to praise myself is how I think she firms it. But yes, yeah. I do it to prove that I'm the best, like to myself.
And then Shinji gets the best test scores.
Yeah, and she can't, she like flies off the handle. So she's messed up.
I like how she's monologuing and like flying off the handle about that, and Rei just leaves.
Right.
It's like,
yeah, and she like punches the locker or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that scene. It's really cool. How she like that you can tell there's like an acidic like edge to her voice, but it doesn't. I think it's a really good performance by her voice actress, because you can tell that she's like really bitter, but it's not so overdone that you're like, oh, come on, Asuka, just shut up. I was really captivated by her whole spiel there. And then so when Rei leaves without like saying a word except for goodbye, I think she says.
Yeah.
Then you feel like how angry Asuka must be to have said all that.
Because she can't even vent to somebody because Rei just doesn't care.
Yeah, she does. She has been trying to connect with Rei, like on multiple occasions, and Rei just isn't going for it. I don't think she likes Asuka very much.
I don't think she likes anyone very much.
Yeah, she's not much of a human being. She doesn't.
And maybe there's something to that.
Right. Well, I mean, we already know that she's some sort of weird
something.
Yeah,
we're not sure what at this point,
but
it's something less than fully human.
I guess so.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh boy, man, how exhausting.
Yeah, and we've still got more to go.
Oh, really?
In this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned that the Evas are angels.
What?
Yeah. How did you miss that? That's at the end of the episode when they're cleaning them down. And when it's like, what's going on? It's like the AT field is going nuts, and then Shinji's Eva just rips a hole in the shadow of the angel that they're fighting, and just like punches out of it and basically kills it. And there's just like this massive
there's blood everywhere.
Yeah, because the angels are alive.
How does that? Are you talking about Misato's little line of dialogue? I know that the Evas aren't just copies of the first angel.
Yeah, like so they're essentially angels that have been modified.
How do you get that from what she said? She says, I know that they're not just copies of the first angel.
Right.
So you might infer from that they are based on angels, but that they're not angels themselves.
No, but the Eva, they specifically make a point to mention that, and I should have written all this stuff down, but they make it seem like the Evas are working with Nerve Like they're
Oh, yeah.
conscious of the fact that they're working with them
Right.
when
Yeah.
they're hosing them down. And I remember
Yeah, Ritsuko.
Ritsuko makes a point to mention if Rei and Shinji ever learned what these things actually are, they would never pilot them again, or they would hate us, or something
Yeah.
along those lines.
And in the same conversation with Gendo, because that's who she's speaking to there, she also says, I've never been like more afraid of the Evas than I was seeing Shinji like emerge from the angel. And I wonder whether they're really on our side.
Right.
So there is some level of consciousness to the Evas. Yeah, and I mean when
Because it's out of power, essentially,
We've
and
s-
then it still kills the angel.
but we saw that happen I think in episode 2, right?
It wasn't out of power, though.
Yeah, it was because it got disconnected from its umbilical plug or whatever.
Right. But it still had its backup power left when it did that. It just went berserk
Right.
because
It did-
because the pilot was unconscious, so it just went, well, I got to save myself now.
Okay. Yeah,
So-
that's what it was. Shinji was unconscious, but I guess there was still power left. Yeah. But now we've seen it. Well, think about in episode 1 when the Eva raises up its hand to shield Shinji from the falling debris.
Right. It was still plugged. It was plugged in then at base,
It hadn't even like been launched or anything though. It was
No.
just sitting in that liquid.
but we know that it's conscious to some degree, to a much larger degree than we used to think it was.
Right. Yeah. There is an element of consciousness to the Evas.
And I
for
remember
sure.
what is it?
But they're not angels. You said that Evas are angels.
It was they're like modified angels, or they're partly angels
Yeah.
because they have AT fields,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
so they have to be.
Well, they have angel technology then. That's all you can say for sure if what you're going on is...
But
yeah,
are
AT.
angels technological or are they biological?
Well, we know that they're both.
I guess.
They're cyborgs. Like...
Nano
remember
machines.
in the Magi episode...
Yeah, they're nano machines.
What?
They turn into like nano machines and like infest everything, so they're partially technological.
What, angels?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I was talking about Evas when I said they were cyborgs.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what, like, how you would classify angels exactly. They can pretty much take on whatever form they want.
Or whatever form they need
Yeah.
at the time. Yeah.
Angels are... So I'm just taking issue with your theory that Evas are angels. They're not angels.
No, but they're partially, or they're based on them.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
based
well,
on Adam.
Adam, yeah, exactly. Adam is down in Terminal Dogma, impaled with the Lance of Longinus. So you got to figure that. I mean, they have that thing down there. They've probably been experimenting on it and using its DNA or
Studying
whatever
it, yeah.
to
For
help
15
design the
years
Evas.
now. At least 15 years.
Yeah,
Because that was the first angel. The second angel is the one that blew the world to hell.
right. In the second impact in Antarctica, like 15 years ago.
Right.
Dude, what else? Oh my gosh, I'm like kind of exhausted.
Yeah?
Just thinking about this show too hard. We've been thinking more about the mysteries of like, because that's what Misato is trying to figure out. What exactly are the Evas? What are the angels? What's going on? Those are like the core mysteries of the show. So that's what we're trying to like figure out and speculate about. But we could talk for like 30 minutes about Shinji's just his little
experience where he speaks to different versions of himself.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just 2, right? Because you see the wiggly lines.
There's several.
Well, there's just 2 for Shinji. There's when he's speaking, it's the vertical line, and when the other one's speaking,
The horizontal line.
Yeah.
And then you see like
Misato has a cross, and Gendo has like
a little angle. Yeah. And he did the motion for what it looks like, but
Right.
he's right.
Oh boy. If we do the rankings now, we can get done in less than a minute and 30. So
I did
should
want
we
to
move on?
mention that it talks about all the different versions of Shinji, the one that exists in everyone else's head.
Right.
And that kind of circles to another show that Gainax did. Believe in the me that believes in you.
Oh, Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, the different the version of you that I see, believe in that. And this is talking about the different versions
No,
of each.
believe in the me that believes in you is believe in me.
Right, but if I believe in you, that means I have a different mental image of you than you have of yourself.
Right. I see what you're saying, but it's still the other person that you're putting faith in.
I know, but you're also putting faith in what they see in you.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I was just drawing a small parallel there. That's all.
Right. Yeah, I did take that down in my notes. The whole, you know, other people's conceptions of you being like just as valid as
Your perception of yourself.
your self conception, and you as a person, like as a living being. And then there's other stuff too, like how you ought to live your life, like what you ought to value. Because Shinji, like his shadow self, is trying to convince him that he shouldn't live for the praise of his father. And Shinji's like, what else do I have to live for? This is how everyone lives. Everyone just, like deludes themselves and finds small things that they enjoy or that they want, and
then clutch to those.
Yeah, they live for that. He's like, that's what he like screams at the end. Is like, what's wrong with that? Before, it goes back into the cockpit or whatever, where he sees his mother.
There's also something special about Unit 01.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is. We have no idea what it is.
Gendo and Ritsuko are like obsessed with Unit 01. Because Ritsuko...
It's like, we'll drop 922 N2 mines into
Right.
this vacuum of space and hope that we can recover
Unit 01.
Unit 01.
And Ritsuko's original plan like didn't account for Shinji's life at all, which made Misato like slap her.
Yeah.
Or not like slap her. It made her slap her.
It's like, how could you, be so callous, essentially? Why would you be willing to throw that away?
Yeah. That's when she asks, like, why are you so obsessed with Eva 01? What are the Evas? What are you hiding?
They have some form of intelligence, obviously.
The Evas?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do. I don't know how conscious they are or how intelligent they are, but there's enough there that like when they go berserk, the Eva can start acting on its own. Whether that's like
it also stops acting on its own. It finishes like whatever threat it's facing, and rather than like going on like a rampage like a rogue robot and destroying the rest of the city, it just kind of stops.
Yeah.
It's I mean, that's it.
There wouldn't be much of a show if it went on a rampage and then just like ran away.
Episode 2 goes berserk, runs away, kills itself.
I mean, they're kind of indestructible if you're willing to dump 900 N2 mines into,
and it'll be heavily damaged, but it'll still be okay. It's pretty strong.
Yep.
But at the same time, we know that many mines won't even damage an angel.
Right, because their AT field. Yeah, whenever the UN or whoever tries to use missiles or mines or whatever, it just does nothing because of the AT fields.
Yep.
Got to use an Eva. All right, man. Oh my gosh. That's all. I think that's all I got.
Yeah. I remember the Magi didn't have any judgment on this angel, the Shadow Angel.
Yeah, they withheld judgment because they hadn't detected the blue pattern, which is what an angel is.
Because it was something completely different.
But as soon as Shinji shot at it, it revealed itself as an angel and like swallowed him up. Yeah. So the Magi they continue to be involved. All right, dude, we only had like 5 shows this time. We still went for an hour and 30.
Yeah, well, I think we talked about Eva for almost a half hour.
Or more, I don't know. All right, let's rank them.
All right, I got mine right here.
Dude, same. All right, 5th?
Wales.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah, last place. Although, yeah, I do agree with your assessment that it was an all right episode.
Yeah. Not
too crazy or nonsensical.
Yeah, and I don't put it last because it was terrible. I put it last because I just enjoyed the others more, but I thought it was still solid.
Okay. 4th.
Magus.
I put Dandy.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I do not like episode 11.
Okay. I actually liked it. I thought you would like it because it was kind of experimental and odd.
I mean, at this point, I just like what I like. I don't, just because something is like something else that I've enjoyed, it's no guarantee.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do, like I said earlier, I do understand like why you would assume I'd be into it.
Yeah.
But it's probably my least favorite or second least favorite of the first season.
Okay.
Episode 12 was fun, but episode 11 was a drag for me.
Okay. I liked episode 11 and 12. I liked 12 a little more, but I thought 11 was interesting. It was a departure from the stuff I normally watch, and I enjoyed it.
Okay. Cool. I have Hellsing third.
I have Dandy third.
Okay. So that means I have Yome second.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I am just interested in Ainsworth's backstory.
I got Hellsing second.
Okay. So we both have Ava first place.
Yeah.
How could you not after these two episodes,
There's
dude? They're pretty awesome.
So much stuff. It's so dense.
So much stuff happened. They must be the best episodes ever.
Ever.
So we had the same first and last place series, but a scramble for the
Yeah, a
the
pretty big
others.
scramble, too.
yeah. Yeah, this is definitely the lowest ranking that Dandy's probably ever going to get from me. So all we have left of season 1 is one episode, and then season 2 of Dandy I like more than.
I think this is
season
the
1.
first time I've ever put Dandy third. I think it's always been first or second otherwise.
We both put Dandy third 3 episodes ago, when you ranked Hellsing second and I ranked Last Tour second.
Oh, okay.
This was the first time we watched Last Tour.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but in general, we've always, Ava and Dandy have been our go-to standouts.
Yep.
But
that kind of makes sense. They're both great shows.
yeah, there's a bit of a changing of the guard going on over here on I forget, a nearly impossible math equation podcast.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Tune in next week when we have a new meaning for our acronym and a new batch of episodes to cover. What are we going to do about Dandy?
Dandy's only got 13.
Yeah. I guess we can figure that out between now and then.
I guess. Yeah.
All right. Any shout outs before we sign off?
Shout out to the spam bot who hacked my Twitter account.
Okay.
A spam bot hacked my Twitter account.
Okay.
Yeah. So thanks for that.
All right. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I guess we'll see y'all next time.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.